Mr. Swift,
Bobby.
thank you for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. You know that.
Oh man, and before we even hit the record button on this, Swift and I were talking for almost an hour before this thing is, and we kind of have a habit of doing that. We've known each other through Ivan Throne originally is who we met through.
Yep.
But before I go too deep into it, Swift, for people that don't know who you are, you want to give them a little background or?
Sure. I have almost 20 years law enforcement experience, 9 years as a paramedic, 2 years hard as a private military contractor. I'm a father of 5. I'm married.
God bless your heart.
Previously divorced. Married now. Never gonna get divorced now. Other than that, Christian. I am not a counselor, but I help people. I'm certified in critical incident stress debriefing for individuals and groups. Due to my experience, even with my own demons and PTSD, which the APA is now really considering switching it from disorder to post-traumatic stress injury, to have insurance to actually start paying for shit now, finally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, can I cuss yet? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Other than that, again, so I help listen. I help people through PTSD. They're either first, second, third, fourth, or even ongoing issues with PTSD or PTSI. I also am a firearms instructor through the state, and edge weapons instructor and use of force instructor. Sometimes go ahead.
I envy the firearm instructor thing. I mean, only because I can't do that anymore, but man, I used to love shooting guns, man. I grew up shooting guns.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's when you're instructing in that area, what firearms typically are you using?
I teach and can teach proficiently and accurately everything minus sniper systems. I am not a sniper, nor do I want to be a sniper.
Yeah. Takes that's one that just takes a little bit of a different mindset anyway, I suppose.
It does. But I do have my DM certification, designated marksman. With my M4, I'm pretty proficient all the way up to about 620 yards, even with my cam.
Oh wow, that's range.
Yeah,
that's range.
My other friends who are close friends of mine who are carry some pretty heavy patches. They can do a whole lot farther than I can even see.
Yeah. So your law enforcement experience, what did that fall under as far as like what type of law enforcement did you do?
I first started out as local cop, city city cop, and then I switched over for more money and more experience and more cooler things to do, if you will, with the county sheriff.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And with
at the sheriff's office, besides my normal duties, I was also voluntold one time. I became the team leader for the civil disturbance unit, the riot team. Put on SWAT as well. Underwater investigations, the dive team.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Wow, man. So you've been all over the system.
Yeah, and then with my previous paramedic experience and I still continue my certification in that, they put me on the SAR team, the search and rescue team.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah,
that's awesome, man. No, that's intense, because that's a lot of different like fields when you think about it. It's a lot of different subjects, and then to be able to kind of traverse through all those probably made you pretty valuable when you were on the force.
Valuable, pager, cell phone, sucked at family time. Wasn't a real good dad back then.
Yeah. I mean, now obviously, and this is one of the ways that Swift and I, for those watching, where we kind of are able to talk to each other and really got into conversations, because I experienced the law enforcement from the other side of the spectrum, and I can only imagine having to deal with the criminals every day, and with just, because listen, people, I know we all probably have a little soft spot in our heart, or maybe know somebody that, you know, got into some trouble or what, and we think, oh, not everybody's bad, or they're not. Let me tell you something. In those environments, just about everyone's a piece of shit, and they all lie, and they're, especially if you're wearing a badge, it's automatic. You got to lie to this guy. How,
Oh yeah.
as a, as just a human being, forget being a cop, right? Just as a human being, when you're dealing with people like that all the time, how do you feel that affected you in your day-to-day life?
It's hard. It was hard. Um, it I was also part of the chaplain's unit as well. So above my badge, on my lapel was my cross. It
Okay.
helped it helped deal with people, and people would look at that, start talking to you, and you can tell. I mean, your body language stuff and other stuff that you and I talked about. You can tell when someone's just fucking just laying it on. But the moment they see the cross, they're like, "Oh, well, what kind of cop are you?" And I'm like, "Well,
Right.
what kind of cop are you gonna make me be right now?" You know,
Yeah.
it is always the same. One of my disclaimers in dealing with people was always, I'm pretty good at my job. Please don't make me do it all the way. Whether it be a report, or stacking charges, which I hated doing, but I would do if the guy was just needed it, or a girl,
Right.
or don't fight us. I'm really good at it. I like it. Please don't make me step over there and handle my business and beat your ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's another thing too. Is just the I don't know that there's any other job, uh, save like a professional fighter or something like that, to where part of the duties are, you're going to have to put your hands on people when called for. I mean, I can't think of too many off the bat.
No, not bouncers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, bouncer. Yeah. I mean, but those guys are. I mean, they could get in trouble if they take it just a little too far.
Oh yeah.
They have a little bit more of rules to play by, I guess. When you were practicing law enforcement, I don't know if that's the even the right way to put it. Practice it like when you
Either
were
way.
practicing medicine. Yeah. when you were practicing law. No. Come across anyone to where, because everybody says they're innocent.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just about everybody. And people that are watching, I promise you, when I was in prison, anybody that I talked to, they were always innocent. There was always some misunderstanding, some whatever that made them to where they didn't really have to take fault for their action. Okay.
Right.
Now, that being said, were there ever any that you ran across that were innocent? Like you came to find out, like, oh man, shit, we're wrong. This dude didn't do it. What did
Oh
you,
yeah.
did that ever happen?
Oh, of course. Oh yeah.
Okay.
For personally, it was a lot of while I was either investigating something or questioning somebody, interviewing people. It was a lot of relying on my faith as well to make sure I was doing the right thing, to remain objective as I looked at evidence. This one guy, I was third officer on scene of a something, and we get there and they have the guy in custody in the back of a car, and again, one of my partners, he goes, "Hey, double check me, start over." Again,
Right.
another chaplain unit deputy, and I go talk to the guy. I'm like, "Okay, hey, you don't know me. I don't know you from Adam. I wasn't there when they hooked you, but give me what you got, And he'd be like, "I didn't do it." Okay, again, I hear you, but tell me from 4 hours ago where we at, what was going on. And he finally loosened up, you know, because he already gone through a couple cops. He got hooked up. They hooked him up pretty tight. I got him out and loosened him up, you know, because in the heat of a moment, shit can get tight.
I'm knowing. Yeah, I have a story about that, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, one of my favorite stories is, oh, they're brand new, they'll loosen up.
Yeah. Oh God.
But anyways, yeah, you know, you heard it. Anyways, so I listen to the guy. I'm like, cool, thanks. You know, give me a little bit. Let everyone else calm down, and I will come sit on you and switch your cuffs up front. He's like, cool, we're square. So I go look. I go talk to the other officers, do an interview. I've interviewed everybody else, and supervisor gets on the scene. I'm like, hey, I don't think you did it. You know, now mind you, big guy, all tatted up. You know, the big fuck the world tat. You know, that you can't take that one off. Yeah, FTW. And we had run-ins with him before, and I'm like, I think he did it. And I go, everything at face value, he did it. That's his MO. That's his, what else? I said, but also, we also contacted his PO, pro officer. And he's like, he's been doing those classes. He goes, I really think he's changed because he already did some time, you know, stuff. And I'm like, cool. So I got backstory. I got his probation officer's observations over the last, you know, year and a half. I'm like, I don't think he did it. I think we're good. And of course, the other younger officers were like, fuck him. Blah, blah, blah. And we always had trouble with him. I go, when? You've been a cop 2 years. He's been in jail last time. You know, you've never run into him. You've never run into him. Like his rap sheet. I'm like, fuck that. Be objective. Anyways, didn't do it. You know, we got to apologize. I got the little ice or the cooling bag from the medics there, put on the wrist because I unhooked him. I'm like, sorry for your inconvenience. Sorry to sit in that floor for 4 hours.
Yeah.
But
God. Yeah.
But he didn't go to jail.
Yeah. Right. Because that was one.
It ended up being a former gang member type thing who he switched. And again, you can never leave the brotherhood until, you know, unless by casket type thing. Well, he was, and he was doing really good. So someone did something, his old MO, to try to get him back.
Okay. That's messed up.
Oh yeah.
Like setting them up. Yeah. Yeah. That was people don't understand that when I talk to them about the prison environment. So let's say you're in the military, right? And because prison is very racial, you know. Well, at least California prisons. I can't speak on every state, but I know that California State Prison is the most racist environment, hands down, I've ever been in my life, and I've been to Watts. So, like, I mean, I'm just telling you right now, you know, like it's bad, right? And what people don't understand is like to where in the military, you have a team, right? Us versus them, and you can count on your teammate. Like if you're looking this way, you know your teammate's watching your back that way, right? Because you're a team. Yeah. Well, in the joint, your own team could be trying to get you, you know, because honor among thieves is bullshit. There is no honor among criminals. There's no honor among whatever. And that's one thing that people, I think, have a hard time identifying with. How many times you worked in the jails, obviously being a sheriff coming up, you know, you got to do that. How many, is there any type of treacherous or just gnarly incident that comes to mind from when you were working to where it was just like, man, these dudes are just brutal?
Oh, so I know where you're going. We and I have had this conversation a lot. Dude, white crooks, dude, they'll cut each other's throats.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Oh yeah.
I agree. No, I've told people, and it's not and people try and argue with me on this, and usually the people that are trying to argue are white, right? Like you know, they're like, oh no, no, no. But I've said straight up, I've been like, man. So after, because you know my story, about halfway through, I just started running on my own, and I
Oh
still had
yeah.
5 years left on my sentence, right? So you know, I was hanging with the brothers, with Mexicans. You know, I started being cool with you know
Oh
all
yeah.
these different groups because we didn't have a problem anymore. But hands down, the most cutthroat, gnarly, stab you in the back dudes were the whites.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh, what kind of experiences? I mean, do they have? Because I know out here they have like the P9, which is like a, it's like a, I don't want to call them skinheads, but they're like it's a white prison gang essentially.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Aren't they a branch off of the ARB?
Kinda. Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to say yes, but kinda. I think I want to say they started in Huntington Beach. I want to say they started like in
Okay.
Orange County or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But do do you see a lot of those different groups like out in the places where you practice law enforcement or?
Oh yeah, yeah. From back in the South where I started to Colorado, which ARB, Aryan Brotherhood, um,
Hmm.
Peckerwoods, 311 crew, um, skinheads, easy. Um,
Yeah.
crap, I don't even. There's some other ones, but oh hey,
Yeah.
you're a white cop. They come talk to me and stuff like that, and you know, I'll talk to anybody. I'll
Yeah.
talk to everybody. I got a little Spanish. Being from the South, um, you know, yeah, I just talk to anybody. But yeah, there's some, whites and KKK too. Um, those guys.
Oh, wow. Now, see, we didn't have 311. I hadn't heard of. I mean, but the 311 3Ks kind of, if you, it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense. Um, K, for those watching where I made that, K being the 11th letter of the alphabet. Um, but we did have the P9, we had the AB, the Aryan Brotherhood. Although if you were associated with them or they had you documented as being one of them, they had all those dudes like on lockdown. All those dudes
Oh
were
yeah.
either in the shoe or in the hole or whatever. Like they weren't allowed to be on the yard running around. Um,
No.
but as far as like different gangs or crews or stuff like that, did you find that there were some that were easier to deal with and not necessarily white or whatever, but just in general, did you find that some were easier to deal with than others, or were they all pretty much just like screw you?
They would talk. They're filling me out. Through a
Yeah.
conversation, through body language, they're filling me out. Um, uh, yeah, they're all just kind of, and they're all untrustworthy. Um,
Yeah.
but I was able, through my experiences, I was always able to actually get further along, talking to Crips and Bloods and even Latin Kings.
Yeah. you,
So
you want to know what's weird with that too is that when see, growing up in Southern California, uh, there's certain areas, like being a white kid, right? Like you don't want to go to Watts, you don't want to
okay,
go to Compton. There's certain areas in LA you don't want to go, and you just know this. Like growing up, they like tell you,
yeah,
don't go there, don't go there. You
yeah,
know, but I found when I was inside that those were some of the easiest and coolest people to talk to.
oh yeah,
Was like the Crips or the Bloods or something like
oh
that, because they they were pretty much straight up with you, and it was just a different dynamic, you know. Um, but the white thing about stabbing in the back and all that stuff,
yeah.
that's real.
It was surprising to me a long time ago. but then the more I started realizing it, and then of course doing all my my studies through over the years, um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to just blame it on the diversity thing for
Right.
America, but when other larger powers, unbeknownst to anybody else, when they really started trying to destroy America, when they really started to attack American psyche back in
Mm-hmm.
the 40s and 50s, it broke the, it's not okay to be white type thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
other groups, and which goes totally against my faith.
Mm-hmm.
But groups stick to groups and type of thing. But when you break the psyche in American culture, yeah, they're the first ones that are going to turn on each other because it's not okay to be white in large groups.
Right. Right. Yeah, it was definitely a weird experience, man.
Oh yeah.
Definitely something. Now, I gotta phrase this correctly. Okay. When I was in there, I had my own personal experience with dirty cops. Okay.
Oh yeah.
My own, to where they were, not only was I don't want to call myself a victim, but not only was I the target of having some stuff dirty done, but I saw many other people that had some dirty stuff done. If you were to just guess, okay,
Okay.
how many, if you're going to do a percentage, right? How many cops do you think are good, clean, honest people versus ones that are breaking rules and screwing people over and think they're above the law?
Currently, or 5 and 10 years ago?
Either. We got time.
Um, 5 or 10 years ago, I would really say probably nationwide, like 0.2% of bad.
Point two. So like you would think,
Point
like,
two.
so you'd think like 99% were good.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Now, that's straight corruption in my head perspective. Um, but point two out of what the last stat was, there are, what was it, 65,000 cops in America or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, it's a cop for every probably 500 citizens,
Okay.
um, documented citizens. You got to put that in there.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, point two, it's still way too big a number. There are even Paul Harvey did the deal back in the day. There are more criminal priests than dirty cops. His dad was a cop, by the way.
Okay.
So now, with the advent of body cameras and cameras everywhere, man, it's now I did some time with internal affairs. We did have to
Okay.
arrest some cops, you know, DOs, COs, smuggling contraband in, cell
Sure.
phones, drugs, that type of stuff, even doing stuff on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, do me favors and my family will get you money because you don't make much. And which was always the same thing. Um,
Right.
so because, it's hard to support family even on a civil servant salary.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, especially in other states. Like I remember one time I put out this social media post saying something like, "Hey, here are some great jobs that you can get without having a
Degree.
college degree," right?
Oh yeah.
And I think the one that I put right at the top was corrections officer. It was either firefighter or corrections officer, because here in California,
Oh yeah.
those guys make bank. But I was like, there were people. I mean, I think a corrections officer here starts off at like 80 grand a year or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that. And the retirement for firefighters here is
Oh yeah.
six figure ridiculous, right?
Oh yeah.
But I was getting these people from other states, and they're like, what are you talking about, firefighter or CO or like those are shit jobs, you know? And I'm going, what do you mean? But I mean, obviously it varies. So I could imagine if you were in one of those places and you
Right.
are only making, you know, 30 or 40 grand a year or whatever the pay is, you know, and somebody's like, hey man, you do this and you can make 5 G's. Well, shit, that's a lot of money.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So
it
did you
is.
see, you saw cases like that then
Oh yeah.
working and stuff that people smuggling in and,
Oh yeah. At that time, my current sheriff then, when we hooked them, I mean, we hooked them good. We did their
mhm,
mugshot in their uniform.
oof,
I mean,
yeah,
it's not dirty, but it's a shot right at the soul. You know,
yeah, I bet.
you fouled up bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've been following it, but I want to say they called what they call that guy, the Golden State Killer, the Golden State Rapist, or something. The guy they just recently caught. So during the, I
Oh, the
want to
guy
say it
was
was
on the lam for 40 years.
yeah, well they got him because one of his relatives did a DNA test and they found him right up in Sac too. He was like right up there and yeah, no, serious
Yeah,
shit. And he's like this old man now, right? But
yeah,
he's the dude that did all those rapings and killings and would like call and taunt the cops and call and taunt victims and all
yeah,
this stuff, right?
yeah,
Well, it turned out he was a police officer
yeah.
because right when that DNA stuff started getting big, he stopped, or at
Oh
least
yeah,
you know never got caught again, right?
yeah.
But funny thing is they always thought that the dude was a cop who was doing the crimes because of the way like
Right.
he'd clean up the scene and handle stuff
Oh
and
yeah,
whatever. But he got kicked off the force for shoplifting.
yeah.
He was, I mean, like out of all the random stuff, you know, and it's like you're a cop and you're shoplifting. Like, have you? And I know you probably wouldn't want to put people's information out there too much, you know. So I'm
Oh
not
no,
asking for
I
names or
wouldn't.
you know
I wouldn't.
specifics. Yeah, but have you ever worked on something to where like let's say it was something with a cop or was and you were just like why like what the
When I was younger, yes, I would say why. As I matured and got older, and realizing, we live in a fallen world, which you and I talked about our faith and
hmm
understanding the Bible. We live in a fallen
yeah
world. The moment you start questioning motive when people's, you know, actions, you'll just, you actually freeze your own life because you can't progress in thinking because you're so caught up on the, well, why did they do this? Why did they throw their life away? Why they, why they hurt their family because that's their paycheck, or why did they, no,
yeah
you're a dumbass. You got caught. Here's your prize for a dumbass.
yeah yeah you know that there's this misconception too that criminals are dumb, right? Like they're oh you got
No,
caught. Yeah,
no.
you know. And there's actually like I met some dudes that I would put on par with genius on some of the
Oh
stuff
yeah.
that they did. The
Oh yeah.
the the problem is that they start thinking they're smarter than everybody else. You know, like I mean they are, but they
Yeah.
or most, but they start it's almost like being too smart for your own good, you know,
Oh
to
yeah.
where you think, oh well, they'll never do because I'm so you know, and somebody does figure it out.
Oh no.
Did
Law
you?
enforcement's relentless, relentless. Because you're not just dealing with cops. And this is nothing new. It's just sometimes people don't think like this. As a criminal mastermind type thing, whatever else, you're not dealing with just the beat cops who are the first one there. You're dealing with the civilian employees who are scientists. They're just taking information gathered by the cops. They do nothing else. They're in a lab. They do nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was my biggest thing. When I first started, like, oh, I'm gonna solve this. Just like on a baseball team, which I played baseball a long time ago, as a pitcher, your job isn't to really always strike everyone out. It's to make the batter hit in a area or at a lower deal so your teammates can catch the fucking ball.
Right. That's actually a good analogy right there. So did you ever come up against any like that you would, I mean, criminal mastermind, it just sounds so like Dr. Evil type stuff, but did you did you ever, yeah, I know. Did you ever encounter anything like that to where you were just like, oh my God, like
Yes.
this is crazy?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. But again, being from the South, my twang isn't there because I've worn it out or something. Who knows what? Unless I've been around my folks, which I was last week all week long, but I was sick, so I didn't get to talk with them a whole lot. So my twang's still gone.
Okay.
I mean, the South. We had up here in the Denver area, we had a pretty good criminal. I mean, ballsy. I mean, huge balls. Because he would actually, hey, hey, when you come in, we have some questions for you. Instead of going there, because I always like to go to people's personal environments because they're more comfortable.
Right.
He would come in for questioning, just interviews. Oh yeah. Well, one time they had me talk to him, and our shrink person, they're like, he thinks he's smarter than everybody else. And me, I'm always outside the box, you know that. So I put the twang on and I talked, 5th grade level words. I put my uniform on, so I look like a stupid ass cop. And he actually gave some information more than what I guess he had wanted to originally. And he popped off in Latin something. But microphone videos is all on tape.
Yeah, it's like, what did he say? Yeah.
I had to do that, but I knew what he said in Latin. I said, okay, we're done. He's like, what? I'm like, you're talking over my head. So smug smile on his face type thing. And I can't speak Latin real well. I guess just like my Spanish, I speak Spanish okay, but still not true conversational, but I can understand Spanish. But when I got up and I'm like, okay, you just wait here for the detectives come talk to you or something like that. I got up and I told him rest in peace in Latin back. And he's like, fuck.
Requiescat in pace. The rest in peace. Yeah, I remember my Latin days. Yeah.
So, because I knew what we had already had and I knew what we needed, and he gave us what we needed. And I'm like, you're no longer free to go. You're now in custody.
Yeah, you're done.
Wait here. Yeah. So yeah, they're out there. There's people, and again, with any profession in any type of life, the moment you lose humility, you're gonna fall in a hole.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got to keep it, you got to keep it real with yourself too. It's not just keeping it real with others. It's the honest self-assessment, keeping it real with your own self. That's key with everything. For those that are watching, I can't recommend a better practice than honest self-assessments.
Oh yeah.
Those are that's what's going to keep you in line. That's what's going to keep those goals in front of you. That's what's going to keep you checked, essentially, because you can have somebody else trying to check you all day, but unless you're checking yourself, it just doesn't work.
Right.
So to switch gears up a little bit, you also did some military contract work.
Yes.
Are you allowed to say where?
No.
Okay. Are you allowed to give regions?
When I got back, they told my passport up. No.
Oh, wow. So you can't say whether it was like in the Middle East or in Europe or anything like that? Like
it was here on Earth.
Okay, there you go. What are you allowed to say what kind of work you were doing?
I trained and I consulted and provided some medical support as well, and um, had to dig out of a shithole that somebody else got us in.
Okay.
So we got
Did
out of that
you,
meat grinder and made it back.
so is it safe to assume then that you were in some firefights over there, or are you
Yeah.
allowed to say that?
Oh yeah, I can say that.
Okay. Okay. Um, the I don't know where you were at, so it's kind of, it's almost kind of like a one-sided question in a sense,
It
but
is.
compared
No,
to where com, compared to where you were at versus here, right? How different was it?
it's pretty different. It's pretty different. The teamwork was still there. Different, different citizens, nationalities comprise our team, um, and um, the court, just like anything else. Anytime you get a group of guys who are of the skill set and the mindset type thing, um, you'd better be humble because everyone's testing everybody else. Until that certain point, you can call each other brother.
Yeah,
So there was
gotcha.
we had to fast forward that pretty hard due to our assignment, and um, so pretty much we did about a month's worth of team building in a week.
Okay. Oh wow. So you're just on it, just
So
doing
no sleep,
doing the thing. Yeah.
no sleep, making sure everyone was on the same page, um,
Hmm.
whether it be verbal communications, um, hand signals as well for where we were going, what
Hmm.
we were doing, just in case it hit the fan, and of course it did. But it wasn't right away, which was, I guess, not the terrifying part of it, but it was.
Hmm.
Um, we did all agree upon putting something up in the barracks, in the head, and at the content. Complacency will kill you. Um,
Right.
and we trained and we did our stuff all together, even apart from our counterparts, to make sure we were all still on point in case it was bad, and our
Right.
counterparts would have been out for instead of helpful, and it worked out.
Right.
So
Right. Did were there were there some bad experiences with counterparts? Not necessarily with you, but was that something that was like a very, like something that had already happened, was a real possibility?
it was a real possibility.
Okay. And what I'm asking all these questions. I'm thinking, man, he's not going to answer this shit. No. So what kind of ordinance were you using over there? Can you say that?
I was given an M4. I got to bring a Glock, um, and I found a 12 gauge.
Huh? Just, yeah, those just find them. Like, oh, hey, there's one. They come in handy. Um,
Reappropriate.
yeah, there you go. And you did that for how long? About.
The contract was supposed to be 9 months. It was 3 months, and then they pulled us.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't too long.
No, but it sure seemed really long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I bet in a situation like that. That's another thing that unless people have been in the situation, because prison is similar in the sense too, to where you're living with these people 24/7. So
Right.
when you do that, you get to know somebody like super fast,
Oh
and
yeah.
and it's like it's like friendships that might have taken, months and months to kind of originate or accumulate.
Right.
In a week, it's like you've been lifelong friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's a situation to where you guys are actively saving each other's life.
Oh yeah.
Are there any people from that you still talk with, or is doing something like the military contract work, is that something that you may again do in the future?
I would say no. My wife would say no because I did that before her and I met and got married.
Hmm.
With current events and other stuff coming up, I would say yes to the extent of possibly training,
Hmm.
teaching the younger guys
Hmm.
how to continue to be old guys eventually.
Yeah.
Because I'm of course the last class I taught was a month ago, but that was a pistol class. But I also helped some combat tracking classes. So.
And what goes, for those that don't know, what goes into that?
So combat tracking, basically, it's like, how did my buddy tell me one time?
Like hunting people?
Well, yeah, you're hunting people that are still dangerous that can turn around and hurt you. So it's like tiger hunting or lion hunting.
Okay. Oh, nice. So you're extra careful.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And if you did want to Google it or look it up, I'm not a Google fan. I use DuckDuckGo for my own paranoid reasons. The school that I'm certified through is the David Scott Doolin School. He
Okay.
was down in the Bush Wars
Okay.
of Rio de Janeiro back in the
Wow.
day. So,
Okay. So dude's got experience tracking people through anything.
oh, and hilarious. He's hilarious because in tracking school they teach you to use sticks because you're measuring people's paces and their footprint and type stuff like that. And he's like, if it's in your hand, it better be able to kill somebody. He's
So
like,
sharpen them up, or
if you have anything in your hand, it better be able to kill somebody. And he says it nonchalantly, no emphasis, just so.
yeah.
We use hair ties, not the one without the reflective little metal band on it, and we'll put
Hmm.
that on our carbines on our rifles because you can kill somebody with that, and you can still put it down and measure paces and footprints and.
Oh, okay.
So.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. That's yeah. It's a little tricks that people don't know or don't think of, and I suppose being trained. We were talking about PTSD earlier, about how they're changing it. They may change it to PTSI.
Right.
How often does that, not only from doing your contract work, but from doing LEO work, how often does that pop up? Like how often do you experience something?
I had a trigger 2 weeks ago, but that was probably the trigger hit a memory probably 6 years old. So
Hmm.
it comes, it goes. It used to be really worse. Since my retirement or getting out of law enforcement, it's subsided a whole lot. I'm still vigilant everywhere I go.
I understand.
It's something
It
you can
doesn't
never
go away.
shake it. No, you can't shake it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I wouldn't ever want to shake it. So when I would, in some of my darkest times through my PTSD, I actually had to take a month off work when I was a cop because it was bad. I mean, it was bad. My wife, we were dating at the time, and she helped. She did what she could. but now we're out of it. She's like, you were in the mud, under the sand, under the rocks at the bottom. So, um, so there is lower than rock bottom.
Yeah.
But when her and I started dating, after my divorce, which is probably 6 years after my divorce, when we started dating, I'm like, hey, before we go any further, because I do like you, here, read this book. And the book, it's geared toward law enforcement officers, but it also, I bought a copy and gave it to a friend of mine who was on his now 5th marriage. But he's tip of the spear type military guy. Mm-hmm. It's the book is Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement Officers and Their Families. It's a paperback book by Dr. Gil Martin. My wife, my girlfriend at the time, she read it in a week, and she came back. We had another date, and she gave me the book back. She's like, "Hey, I'm done." I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." And she's like, I'm in. I can do this. This helped. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Of course, she's deadly too, though. But she's like, no, I can do this. So yeah. So when I hit pretty hard. I had it was when I hit bottom, it was a kid died on me. His dad was high on coke and drunk driving. They rolled it. Kid, it was an SUV. Kid was in the very back seat. Still seat belted in, but when it went on its side, the kid's head came out the glass. And
yeah.
I don't mean, but that's what triggered it.
No, I know.
The kid stuff always hits me hard. I've got 5 kids, but dive team, underwater investigations unit. We would go look for guns and cars and that people would steal and then go float or sink in the river or the lakes or in the reservoirs. That's no big deal. I don't mind doing that, but there's always the other part of that team. They call it rescue. It's not rescue, it's salvage. I got to go find the bodies. And it was always the accidents. The kid got swept away in the river, or the boat flipped over and we couldn't find. Those ones is what hurts me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I asked because I still deal with it from time to time, but like you were saying, it's a lot less now. I mean, this month, as a matter of fact, in a few days, marks my 10-year anniversary of being out. So I mean, it's I've been out for as long as I was in. Thank you, but it's it still hits me at weird times, and one of the things people that are watching and that know me and have heard me talk about my wife know that she's an RN, and she's very smart, and she was the one that actually suggested I started writing. Like, up until that point, I wasn't even going to be a writer. And she was like, no, you know what? You've always written very well. If you write this stuff, it'll help you process it, help you get through it and whatever. And she was right. I mean, it did. The more that I had to dredge these things up on purpose, it was like the old cliche of confronting a demon, because the weird thing when you're writing these well, in my case, these prison stories, is I'll start and then I'll remember things that I hadn't remembered when I started.
Oh yeah, you open the door.
So I'll start. Yeah, right. So I start going through and I'll start writing and I'll be like, oh, you know what? I totally forgot about that. You're just like,
yeah,
right. Oh, yeah. But it does have this way when you make yourself look at something, right? Or you make yourself talk about something.
Oh yeah.
There is some type of healing effect to it.
Oh, always. Yeah. So when I do help other guys, whether it be the military guys or cops or firemen or paramedics or dispatchers as well, it's the second person I helped They're like, you're not going to try to outdo me on your bad shit, are you? I go, fuck no. No, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
my instructor for the critical incident stress stuff, of course, he was real adamant. He's like, you're not trying to outdo them. You know, yours is worse, blah, blah. No, I would never do that because that's
Right.
counterproductive. It's not even biblical to try to outdo someone.
Right.
You're there to help them. And
Right.
here's the key phrase for anybody who's experienced, whether it be yours or mine or somebody else's experience. You know, you're a normal person who experienced an abnormal situation. Those are normal reactions. Those are normal thoughts for an abnormal shit show you went through.
Right.
So,
Right. And I tell people that, I mean, not in those words, what I tell people, or what I've told people, although I like what you just said, everything's relative, you know, like it's
okay.
when you're talking about outdoing or out whatever. So like my experience, while it may seem bad, you know, to me, right, it may not, somebody may not think it as bad as the guy who fought in a war for 3 years and had to kill someone every day or had to see something
Right.
gory every day. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that, they would go, oh, but it's still, and then you can compare it to the kid who got spanked with a belt growing up, you know, and that's what gave him
Right.
PTSD. I mean, everything is relative. So your worst experience doesn't need to be my worst experience. There doesn't need to be a competition because it's relative to who you
Yeah.
are.
Oh yeah.
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 That's when dealing with this, okay, and you're talking with people and you tell them, you know, this is a normal reaction to an abnormal experience, right?
Yeah.
How many people on average do you think actually run with the info and start getting better versus people that just would rather mire in their hole and keep it bad? Because there are some like that. There are some that just,
there are those the ones who want to stay in that pit. They grab a hold of that victim, not victimology, that victim mindset because they think they can get more. Throughout all my careers, jail, cop, SWAT, blah blah, I've always been told by you know, guys in Max, guys in disciplinary, the shoe, you know, hey, you're very hard, but you're very fair. I'm like, that's the best compliment I could ever get. You know, even
right.
guys who would do an armed and barricade situation, and I've got to be there. You know, sometimes it depends on the situation. You know, I might just say,
Right.
hey, you've got 2 hours before I got something else to do because I'm probably just come get you. You know, even though we're doing you know, I still have the negotiators doing their stuff, but again, I'm kind of just straightforward. I always go for the throat just because you know, I hate wasting my time. I don't want to waste your time either.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so back to your question, when people, if I think they're going to start staying in that hole and waller in that pit, I usually just tell them, hey, you probably should rethink this. You know, because you know, Jesus loves you, but what the fuck, sack up. You know, if you don't
Yeah.
sack up, you're probably gonna lose your job. You
Yeah.
know, if you can't function, if you can't complete and perform the duties of your job, you're gonna get fired. And no one's really gonna get pity on you for, oh, poor pitiful me, you know.
Right.
And welfare won't, unemployment won't. They'll be like, you lost your job because you didn't get the free help you could get, type stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and even outside for non emergency service personnel, you know, there's still free resources. There's still free people, uh, 501s and other things who were willing to help people. So if you're not going to take the hand, you know,
Right.
I tell my kids this all the time too. Hey, speed up, you know, hurry up. And they're like, why? I'm like, zombies coming. I'm letting you get eaten.
Yeah.
You didn't listen, you're eating.
Yeah. Sometimes my wife says I'm too hard on her and my daughter with that, because I have a tendency to speak very frank when I'm mean business.
Oh yeah.
For me, brevity above all is best, right?
Yeah.
And it'll come off like that kind of hardness,
Right.
like toughen up, get going, let's go. When I was and you probably have some experience with this too. Maybe you can comment on people when you're experiencing these type of PTSD moments, or if like they know you've got a problem with PTSD or PTSI, um, they will they'll try and rationalize it away, right? Like they'll go, "Oh, well, you were around bad guys who were trying to kill you, so you don't need to have PTSD because, hey, man, you had to do what you had to do because they were bad guys and they were trying to get you." Or another thing that I say, some of the worst crimes I've ever seen, or some of the gnarliest, like just crimes against humanity, I guess I'd call it. Just some
Oh yeah.
like gory, nasty, gnarly shit was done to child molesters and rapists while I was in there.
Oh
Like
yeah.
just fucking brutal, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
people will go, well, why are you even think? Why does that pop up? They were child molesters and rapists. Who cares? They had it coming, and right? And it's not like you care about them as a person, like you had some type of relationship to them.
Right.
It's just like you were saying earlier, it's not normal to see shit like that.
Oh no. No. No, it's
Yeah.
not
And I
normal.
can only imagine in a war setting where there was actual munitions, like
Oh yeah.
stuff that could blow up or tear a hole through you.
Oh yeah.
I imagine it's a lot worse. You know.
Oh yeah. And that's just visual. What people imagine, it's just visual.
Right.
So to help, um, again, as an instructor, and obscure outside the box as I am as an instructor, I make sure I help my guys or kids, and some of them get mad that I call them kids. I'm like, well, you're still younger than I am, so toughen up.
No, I do that too.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll do besides visuals in the training scenarios. I might run down to the butcher who, after I finally explained to him what I was wanting and gonna do with it, he's like, "Oh hell, here you go, free stuff." I'll do a liter of blood and a liver, a cow liver, or something else, and I'll burn it. I'll put it on a heat pan or a hot skillet in the training scenario, because I want those kids to know, what
Oh
that
yeah.
burnt smell in the air is.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
It's a trip because people don't understand. So like I've made this comment on social media before and had dudes call me liars, like I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But I made the comment of, hey, somebody gets knocked out or hit in the head, like where they go out, they'll piss and shit themselves.
Oh yeah.
Like, but like people, oh no, because when I'm in the gym and on the UFC, when they get knocked out, and they'll like start talking. But it's like, no, man, like it's not only just like you're talking about smelling you see the puddle, you can smell the shit, you see
Oh
them bleed.
yeah.
I mean, like people don't understand that. Like it's not just what they show in the
Oh no.
movies, man.
Oh no, 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 no. Well, I mean, at the county jails, there's always that very familiar odor, whether you go into booking or whatever else, of the homeless people.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I don't like to admit it, but I can tell. I mean, besides knowing what season it is, I know what season it is by the smell of booking. Are the homeless guys
Yeah.
sweating so much that it's either the winter or the summer?
Right.
So
Yeah. That's
there's always that smell stuff too, piss and shit. And being a paramedic, it was always, what human lipoid fat smells like when it's caught on fire.
mm,
Because everyone's
yeah.
got fat on their body, no matter how low you get, especially military
Oh
guys.
yeah.
And your OPFOR, when they get blown up, shot, or something like that, that smell that you've got to go around to clear something, you're going to get all of it, or gut smell, when the abdomen and the stomach get perforated and it's leaking out all over the fucking place.
Yeah. They say that your sense of smell, out of all the five senses, that the sense of smell lasts the longest. So you'll remember what someone smelled like longer than you'll remember what they look like.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty, and also one of those things, when they talk about like witnesses in trial, or when they say like the validity of what that they get it wrong sometimes, I mean, they don't always get it right, and it's because you forget, and then you kind of second guess yourself. Oh, was it? So yeah, it's crazy, but I think we would both agree, if you are battling something, and for anybody that's watching, if you're experiencing PTSD, or somebody that is, it's okay for them to get help. Okay, it's okay for them to talk to someone. It's probably better for everyone if they do. And I know you may feel like you are maybe protecting them or whatnot by, oh, you don't need to talk to a psychologist, or, oh, you don't need to talk to a counselor, or whatever. It's probably for everyone's best interest if someone with especially if it's severe cases of PTSD, if they do.
Oh yeah, I mean, crap. The vets, vet suicide rate's 22 a day. Law enforcement self-inflicted suicide is increasing dramatically in the last 6 months.
That's crazy.
That was just on policeone.com. And a friend of mine, the Fox Den, Jeremy Fox, he is a licensed counselor. He does the IMDR or EMDR. He'll call me later and he'll go, "Hey, you screwed that up again." He does eye movement. Yeah. It helps. It helps. I'll attest to it. It helped. It helped me. I send people his way. We talk. The class I went and did, I actually called him. I'll go, "Hey, can you take off these 3 days and go with me to this class?" We went to Denver Seminary for this critical incident stress debriefing course. I just found my certificates. I'm actually gonna put them up on my Instagram and Twitter later, either today or tomorrow, and recap.
And all that information, people, will be down in the bio, by the way, too. We'll have all of Swift's stuff.
Oh, it will be. And I'm actually I've had a conflict with some scheduling, but I'm gonna actually start my own podcast eventually. I just found out a cousin I haven't actually talked to in a while. Not law enforcement, not anything. He's 21. He's been stabbed. He's been shot at by gang members downtown Denver when he was working his job late one night. He's dealing with stuff, so I've been helping him when I can. Because I go, hey, his mom, my aunt, she's like, you need a call, and now you guys need to start hooking up, because he can't afford anything. Again, he's not law enforcement, so he can't get any help. He called me, again, I was sick last week, but he called me 26th of December, like 5 a.m. He's like, I just woke up. I was going to get stabbed again, type thing, whatever else. So I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
We were on the phone. So he's agreed to do not a podcast intervention, but a podcast with me to talk about his shit.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to hook him up with Jeremy as well. So yeah.
Jeremy, you know what? Now I remember who you're talking about now. We were in like an offshoot. It was like a Twitter DM thing together at one point. I remember. Okay. I remember. I wanted to talk to him too, because I remember him saying about how he was a PTSD counselor, as a matter of fact. I remember that I want to say that was last year, or sometime last year. Yeah. It was like, when I say last year, I mean 2018. I didn't mean 2019, but it was somewhere right around the beginning. Yeah, man, it's a trip, because when I came home, I was fortunate enough to where I was able to start. I got a job with the union. I started working in oil refineries, and they out here. I don't know if they have it in Colorado, but there's a Kaiser Permanente.
Yep, there is.
Okay, okay. So that was my HMO, and now while their mental health care isn't that great, I was still able to book time with this guy. He's not even a psych. What do they call him? LSCW or LCS?
LNC there, or LMT, or some other.
Yeah, it's one of those. But he's like a therapist, right?
Yeah.
But this dude happened before he worked for Kaiser. He worked in the prisons. So
Oh
it
yeah.
was like, I mean, and it was total chance. Like I didn't know that ahead of time or whatever, but it was like
Yeah.
when I went in and I kind of broke to him, he was like, "Oh yeah, check it out, bro. I've been blah 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 blah. What's up?" And it was just like, "Oh my God, this dude's gonna understand what I'm talking about." You know. So that, yeah, and that makes a huge difference.
Oh
Is
yeah.
when someone's able to come, uh, not necessarily through the same things that you have, but knows what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
You know, knows the lingo, so to speak. I know that we've got to get going here pretty soon because you let me know that you had something to do.
Yeah.
Before before we do, if you were to, let's say if there is somebody that's watching that has a similar background that you have, and let's say they are going through some stuff, if you wanted to address them right now, what would you say to those people?
That's hard because mine took. I mean, there's hope. Um, there are people who need you around, so don't leave. There is hope.
Mhm.
There's help available. Um, I can only stick my hand out. You gotta meet me halfway, and that's for anybody who can and will help you. Um, to it's worth the work to get through it, and in turn, you can help other people. So your experiences, no matter how bad they are and were, there is a bigger purpose for you. I wouldn't have believed that, you know, in mine, but here I am talking, helping, um, making sure my hands reached out um, for anybody who needs it to grab a hold of. Um, that's what I would say.
That's awesome, man. You know, what you said right there, it really I connect with that. There's this you know, I was just looking at my phone because I have the Bible on my phone. I have the Bible on my phone. But there's this and I'm looking only because I don't want to misquote it. But there's a Joseph, people that are familiar with the story of Joseph and you know his coat of many colors, you know, and how his brothers sold him into slavery. He could read dreams. He eventually became the Pharaoh's right hand man, and then had his people, you know, his brothers and his dad basically brought to him, right? And there's this verse. It's in chapter 50, um, and it's verse 20, and he says, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today."
Oh yeah.
And that one always stuck with me because to me, what that means is anything that's bad that happens to you, you can flip it for good.
Oh yeah.
And I appreciate you pointing that out because that really is a thing to where you can take your bad experience, the thing that caused you the most pain in life, you can take that and make it mean something.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, look, we're not going to go any longer because it's 3. People, thank you for tuning in. All of Mr. Swift's info will be in the description part. I'll have all his social media stuff there. And Mr. Swift, thanks for coming. And once again, thank you for watching Handle Your Business with Bobby Dino.
Thank you, Bobby.
Hey, no problem, man. Okay, we're out.
All right.